All right, today we are going over understanding whole number place value. So it's a little bit of a review, and we're going to be working in the numbers that are greater than 1 and greater. So whole numbers, not decimals. So you can use what you know about place value relationships to compare the values and show your work. The population of a city is 1,880,000. What is the value of the two eights in the number? And how are they related? Use the chart to help you. So you can write the value in the chart just to get yourself all squared away here. Whoops. Be helpful if I put it in the right spot. Let's start that again. Okay. So we have 1,880,000. And when we say numbers, we really need to be using these commas between the periods. So we read our numbers from left to right. So we start over here and we end over here. So the first period has a 1 in it, just 1. So you say 1, and then you say whatever, where is that number sitting? It's 1 million. So 1 million. Then you say the next period together as a number, as if it was just like that. So we said 1,880,000, and wherever that last digit is, then we call it thousand, and then there's nothing left to say. So if I was to write that in written form, I would write 1 million. Sorry, I'm going into cursive there. 1 million, and we put a comma, and we would say 880. Spell that right. Thousand. That's how we would say it in written form or word form. We call that sometimes too. You'll see it either called word form or written form. And if I were to write this in expanded form, I would write 1,800,000, 80,000. I'll put that a plus there, not a comma. And that's how I would write the number in expanded form. So we want to know what are the values of the 8. So this 8 is 800,000, and this 8 is 80,000. So they're two different, it's the same digit, but it's in a different place value. So we kind of touched on that a little bit in the last lesson when we talked about exponents, and the lesson before that when we previewed what we're doing with this unit. Is the relationship between the value of the two eights the same as the relationship between the value in the two eights above? So let's take a look. This one up here was 1,088,000. So we can say that this 8 is 10 times bigger than this 8, or you can say this 8 is 10 times smaller than that 8. And in this problem here, are they the same? Is it the same relationship? One value is 10 times larger than the other value, so you can say that's the same, but they actually do not have the same value. So that's important. All right, let's take a look at that was our solve and share. And this is our video. So you watch the video in the math program, and it will review this for you. And I'll go over it briefly, but watch the video. You want to see it more than once, you can pause the video, you can go back over it again. You'll be able to watch the video when you're doing the buddy work if you're still not sure what you're doing, so you can watch it multiple times. You often need to do that in math. According to the 2010 census, the population of Phoenix is about 1,440,000. What is the relationship between the value of the two fours in this number? And if I were to look at this in my students' interactive book, I was going to look at the same page in the student interactive book. Get it up there. Remember, you would have your tools off to the side where you can actually write on the page. Unfortunately, it doesn't read it to you. So if you need a parent to help you read it to you, I do try to read it over in my videos, but if you need somebody else to help you read it, you're going to have to ask for some help there, unfortunately. So what is the value of the 4s? So we write, just like we did before, we write the number on a place value chart. We're taking a look and we're knowing that this 4 in the hundred thousands is 10 times bigger than the 4 in the 10,000s. And these are the things we just talked about. Standard form is the way we normally write a number. Expanded form is when you bring it out. And there's 2 ways to write expanded form. You can write the expanded form using the digits and the value. And you can also use expanded form using exponents. And you can also use expanded form using standard numbers. So there's 3 different ways to write expanded form. I know that's kind of annoying, but so you've probably seen it like this. Now in 5th grade, you're going to see it more where we pull the digit out. So we have 1 times 1 million. It's the same as saying 1 million. 4 times 100,000, 4 times 10,000. And that will help us to turn them into exponents. So remember that we have 6 zeros. So that's a million is written 10 to the 6. 5 zeros, 100,000 is written 10 to the 5th. And 4 zeros, 10,000 is written 10 to the 4th. So we pulled the digits out and then we put their place value, multiplied it by their place value. And here's the number name, and sometimes that's called written form or word form. Remember, depends on the math book series. So you're going to see, even in first in math, they don't call it the number name. I think they call it word form in first in math. So make sure you're familiar with all 3 of those labels. So in that one, down the bottom, 10 in the value, let me move this up a little bit. Wish I could just erase the whole screen, but of course that would be too easy. Is the value of the 1 in 1,440,000 10 times as great as the value of the 4? Explain. No, because they're not the same digits, so you can't say the value is the same. And so 1 million does not equal 10 times 400,000. If there was a 1 there, if the number was written like this, then you could say this 1 in the millions place is 10 times the size of, like you would go like this. You could say the 1 in the 100,000s place is 10 times, to get it to the millions, you have to times it by 10. So, yeah. Okay, there we go on that. And then my routine is I will go over some of the guided practice. There's another example at the top of this page. When 2 digits next to each other in a number are the same, the digit to the left is 10 times the value of the digit to the right. So if we go in this direction, where the number's getting bigger by 10, if we go in this direction, the number's you're multiplying by 1/10. So you're multiplying by a fraction. And that will come up later on in math. You can also say you're dividing by 10. And you'll see some more of that later on. So just remember that when you are moving, when you're going to the moving in this direction, oops, we're going to the left, we're multiplying by 10. And when we're going to the right, we're multiplying by 1/10, a fractional. So it's a smaller value. Or you can say you're dividing by 10. In 9,290 is the value of the first 9 10 times as great as the value of the second 9. And that's a definite no. For them to be 10 times as great, they have to be right next to each other. And they're not. There's a 2 in the middle there. So that's a definite no. 9s are not next to each other in the number. The value of the first 9 is not 10 times the value of the second 9. And number 2, write in expanded form. And we are going to pull out the exponents. And so 4,000 is written by 4, is written 4 times 1,000. And we're going to say 5 times 10. And if I'm going to write that using exponents, I would write 4 times 10 to the third plus 5 times 10 to the first power. Another thing that shows up in this unit in a weird spot, and it doesn't really explain it, what if you have 10 to the 0 power? It doesn't equal 0. It actually, strangely, just equals 1. And that they don't really explain that anywhere in here. So I'm telling you right now, because 10 to the first power means I only have 10 one time. 10 to the 0 power is just the digit 1. All right, write each number in standard form. And you can, at this point, you can go into the buddy work where you'll get a lot more help than you will just in the math workbook. If you have a parent or somebody that can go over work with you, you can continue in the textbook. If you're working on your own, you really should be in the buddy practice because you can, the help is built in the buddy practice. I'm going to go over that a little bit again today briefly. I won't do that every day, but you really should be using the buddy practice. Unless you have a tutor or somebody who's working with you at home. So when we go into, it's been assigned to you, it is Practice Buddy, and there's usually only about 12 questions. And they might be in a different order for you than this is. So write the number in standard form. So I'm going to write this number in standard form. If I need to, in my notebook, I can actually stack it, and so I can collapse it, and that might help some of you to keep track of things. Make sure you bring down the comma. So now I'm going to go back in and type it in. I'm going to type 6. If I hit that more button, you'll get all these other tools showing up. And there isn't even a comma here. So 6, 1, 2, 3, 2, 0, 4. Let's see what it says. Didn't even want the comma. And I can do a question like that if I want by clicking on similar question if I'm not sure and I want a little bit more practice, or I can click on next to get to number 2. I can also go up to question help, and remember in question help, if I go up there, I can get another look, which is another video. I can go back to the animation. I can go to the math tools if I think that would help. I can go to the glossary. If I didn't know what standard form meant, I go to the glossary. Glossary is where all your vocabulary words are. So I can go and it will actually read it to you too. So if I forget, what does standard form mean? I don't know what that means. I forget. So I can click on that and it will read the definition to me.
Standard form. A common way of writing a number with commas separating groups of 3 digits starting from the right.
So that will help you. That's called the glossary. The glossary is the words like you have like a little dictionary built in. And remember, you have the math tools in there to help you. And you've got 2 different animations in there. So you want to try to be as independent as you can and try to ask your family for help or me after you've helped yourself a little bit. So write the number in standard form, and we just said, oh, that's right, that's the normal way you write a number. So in your notebook, you can be writing, this is question number 2, and in your notebook, you can put on the top of your notebook page, 1-2 is the lesson, and we're doing buddy practice. If you want the work written out, if a family member wants to look at it, you can number in your workbook, your notebook. So it's nice and neat. So you've got that in your book. Number 2, if I want to write this out, 5 and 4 zeros. And I know there's 4 zeros because it's times 10 to the 4th. Plus 4 and 2 zeros. And I know that because it's 10 to the 2nd. And if I want to write that and then stack it up, make sure I got everything all lined up nice. Remember, I'm adding these 2 values together. So let's see, 50, 400. Let's see how we did. Excellent. Go on. And if you want to do another one of those, do another one. If you want to move on, move on. So we have a couple different, if you try to go on before answering, it lets you. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, I have another one of the same questions, I already know what I'm doing, you can jump ahead, but I'm going to jump ahead because I wanted to show you some of the other things in here. Write the number in expanded form. So this is going to be where you're going to need to use all these operation tools down here. And this gets a little tricky in the beginning as you're learning how to use all the tools. I know some of you did this last year with your 4th grade teachers, but some of you didn't. So I have, let's see, and if you get it wrong, it could be because you just used some of the wrong tools. So if I'm writing this in expanded form, it's 3,000. Or I could do 3 times 1,000 plus 9 times 100 plus 4 times 10. And sometimes this gets a little annoying if you don't put all the right numbers in. So to write expanded notation, write it as a sum of the values of the non-digit 0 in the number. Make sure you've included the multiplication symbol from the tool palette. And that's what I didn't do. So let me try that again. So I was using the X. So 3, where's the tool? There it is, times. So it was giving me a hint there that you did something wrong. I used the wrong X. 3 times 1,000 plus 9 times 100 plus 4 times 10. And don't forget your little equal thing. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we get it right there. Up. Make sure you have included the multiplication. So I'm going to actually take out the equal sign and see if that will get it. There we go. So I just showed you some of the common errors kids make when they're doing this. So you've got to use that toolbar, and you can always go back over your answer and make changes. So maybe I want to do another one of those just because I got a little bit, didn't do that one quite right. Didn't use the right tools. So I'm going to use 9 times 1,000, because that's in the thousands place, plus 7 times 100, because that's in the 100s place, plus 7 times 10, because that's in the tens place. Now, hopefully that's it. Yeah, there we go. So now I can move on. That's how you use the buddy help. It's you and the computer are buddies, and you're working together to practice the math. So there we go. That's lesson 1-2. Work on the buddy work, the quick check, and we'll have another video for tomorrow. All right, when you open up your Savvis Realize for topic 1, you have the choice of going into the student e-text or the interactive student edition. The student e-text is just a copy of your book. The student interactive edition is where you can actually